Here. Before we start, first of all, everyone should have a ksiva v'chasim toiva and a shonna toiva u'mesuka. It's a special day today. It's the first day of Slichas. We have in the next 8 days. In the morning, we say Slichas in the morning. Now we ready Mitzoy Menucha Kidam Nucha. We did it with a special Kedima. So for sure that the Slicha Mechila is also with a special Kedima. Okay. I just, before we start, I was at someone's office and he has a beautiful fish tank in his office. And he that day or day before, he had introduced a new fish to his tank. Oh. And in the meantime, this new fish was terrorizing the other fish. He was already ate up. He was in the middle of eating up one of the fish, and he already the day before ate up another fish. Wow. So I said, that's why the Gemara says in the beginning of the Zohar that Noyek Sheba'ilam da godel b'leya da cotton, that a big fish swallows a small fish. So the guy said, "Wow, it sounds like Darwinism." That he said the survival of the fittest. But the Yiddish Baba said it's not true. It's survival of the fattest. Every Jewish Bubby thinks that way. So unfortunately, there's some truth to it. So I said, you know what, I'll look into it. So meantime, I saw a few beautiful pshatim on that Gemara. One is from the Meidel of Premishlan. He said if you open up a fish, and there's a small fish and a big fish, you would expect that the tail would be towards the tail because he's running away. And Lapoel, no, his head is towards his tail. Why? Because the Abish is mazim in the parnasa for a dog. The Abishter, the small dog goes straight into his mouth of the big dog. It didn't look that way from the tank that I was looking at, but that's the word of the Meidel of Premishlan. So, that's what the Meidel says. Unbelievable thing. So he said that gives us a koich and betochen that we think that we have to, in the business, we have to figure out, don't worry, the fish that needs to come to us, they're going to jump into our mouth. It's beautiful words from the Meidel of Premishlan. But in the meantime, I'm looking for this guy for Veritlach, so I found a beautiful word. Not a word, a story of the Chofetz Chayim, a fishy story. This guy told me the other day he was somewhere in New York in the Catskill Mountains. So they're trying to have they have a fishy museum with a book that you can write fishy stories. So it's a fishy story of the Chofetz Chayim, and we're going into Seris Tshuva and Rosh Hashanah. We're going out to the Tashlet. It's a beautiful story, actually. The missus had bought a big fish, together with her shchena. With the neighbor that she couldn't afford to buy was a big fat fish. She couldn't afford to buy it on her own. So with the shchena, they bought the fish. In the meantime, she brought the fish to her house. And she's waiting for the shchena to come because they're gonna split the fish. But the neighbor is not coming. She's going to her house, knocking the door, no answer. So she said, you know what? She took a knife, she cut the fish in half, and she had a bigger part and a smaller part. She took for herself the smaller part. No problem. She quickly washed it up, cut it up, put it in a pot. Her husband came home, and he washed kedarkoi. He sat down. He made sure right away to eat the first kazayas. You want to make sure to eat the kazayas right away. Eat the kazayas. Then he started saying Hashem Roy Lo Yasser. Fine. His wife brought him the fish, and he keeps on eating the bread as if there was no fish on the table. So his son Rabbi brought the fish closer to his father. He pushed away the plate. He didn't want to eat. So the blade went into the kitchen and asked his mother, "Is something wrong with the fish? Why? The tata will nicht essen. He doesn't want to eat the fish." So she said, "There's nothing wrong with the fish. I bought it." But she told him she bought it with the neighbor. So the blade said, "Wow, the Mrs. Taka didn't mishpat." that if you have a shutfis and you want to split it, you have to split it unless it's money. Unless it's money, it's something that's obvious, $1 and $2, or there's $100 bill, and you're going to break it into 250s. That you have to split the shutvis in front of shloisha fila the yoitis balvachi and amonim v'yodim mishulman. That there's three people, they understand this business, they understand what's a fair way of splitting this thing. V'imcholak b'pachas mishloisha lo yosav v'laiklum v'shemishpet hilchashut v'msimen kuf ayim v'vsiv yutches. And because the Chofetz Chayim was a tzaddik, so the Eibishter, he had this intuition that he wouldn't. He did. The Eibishter made. The Tosfos says that the Eibishter doesn't make a takol of it come to a tzaddik. Tosfos says it means b'midah da'achila. It's never going to happen that a tzaddik should eat something that there should be a pikul. The chiddush in this story is that the fish was actually kosher. There was no shaila on the fish. The shaila was the bilus of the fish. But I think it's a beautiful fishy story. So we're going into the of tashlich. Another person to watch slice of fish. I think this was just a hidur. The hidur. I think could be a fish. Is something that's it's very clear. Maybe it is like money. I don't know if it's mamish.
Why didn't he eat it? Because it had to be split up.
Because when you buy something in partnership, then you want to split the partnership. Unless both partners are there. Both partners, there's no problem. They just split it. No problem. But if I am one of the two partners and the other partner is not here, I'm knocking on his door. I'm begging him. We got to split it. We need to split. So he's not around. So I have to bring three people that understand this business, or understand what's going on over here, and they will testify that this was a fair split. And then I take my 50% and I leave him his 50%.
Wow, of course the neighbor wasn't there when she cut it up. He wouldn't eat it.
Yeah. But the thing with the story is that Chofetz Chaim didn't know. It's not like he asked his wife, or he just had like an intuition that this fish wasn't for him to eat. The son found out from his mother. His son figured out why his father didn't eat. But the Chofetz Chaim said nothing. He just ate the bread. He benched, and he.
They don't ask him why he's not eating it?
No, son didn't ask him, and was no ask, no tell. Was nothing.
Who asked him?
I don't know.
Who was that?
I guess his son had he was so clear in his mind. He didn't, maybe he knew his father. The character of the Chofetz Chaim he was the most. He never wanted to hurt another human's feelings. So he'll bring it up at the table. The mother will hear. She'll walk up in the kitchen. She'll feel bad, and he knew his father would not like it. I mean, that's pashut pshat in the story. Okay, someone asked me this week. Her mother comes to Beis Menachem Mendel, but kederech the Yidden that come to Medina, that when they're 60 years old, they feel like they're 85 already. So it doesn't matter. It's just a mentality. So her mother is not that old, but she's nervous. Her mother should come Shabbos to shul. She wants her mother to walk with a walking stick. The reason I'm explaining is that it's Nageya to understand a question, who is asking and why they're asking the question. So she's very insistent that her mother, otherwise her mother should stay home, because it's not safe. She's very nervous that her mother should come to shul without a walking stick. So that was her question. I said, anyway, there's an Eidav in Flatbush. I heard there's an Eidav in Flatbush, so I want my mother to walk. I want the rabbi to tell my mother that it's not a problem. She's allowed to walk with a walking stick.
She walk with a walking stick the rest of the week?
Oh, so that's she doesn't. I've never seen her. I see her come to Beis Menachem Mendel without a walking stick, and I assume she walks anywhere else without. Elamai, her daughter, is nervous. Okay, so let's read that.
Wait a minute. She can walk without.
She can.
Oh, she can. Yeah,
she can. Elamai, the daughter is nervous. She says, "I live in Manhattan, and I'm not here, and I'm scared. What happens if my mother will fall on Avenue J?" Okay, let's read quickly. Halach Yud Gimel Kitei b'shtei raglav v'malach alai. Oh, you want? Kitei. You want? Yeah. Kitei b'shtei raglav v'malach al kar k'boysa v'aloyrech shurke v'oysa loysmuk shaloyr. A person has a problem with his feet. V'oysa loysmuk shaloyr shall eitz loyrech shurke. Part of his foot is missing, and he has leather or wood attached to his foot. Yeah, a prosthetic, exactly. So he's allowed to use it's part of his foot. עליו ספסלים קטנים ואויקר גופה מן הארץ ונדחף לפונה וחויז ונוח הרגלה והכיסא קשור למטרדה ואויסל לסמוכס של אויר שלא אצל ראש הרגלה ותלויים שהוא נישן על יודיו ואויקר עצמי נישן גם על הרגלה קצת לפונים כשיש לפונה וקרקע גבויה אבל רבי פעמים תלויים בערב ונוגן לארץ. I mean, the Shulchan never had pictures, so he's trying to describe a wheelchair without wheels, a wheelchair without wheels. So they had some type of funny contraption that they would sit on a chair and they would like move themselves on the ground. And yeah, and but they never, Rahman al a person at the bottom of their feet has no koyach to walk. It's dangling from the wheelchair. And at the bottom of their foot, they have tied onto the bottom of the foot a piece of leather, a piece of wood. So just in case they need an extra push, they can't walk on their foot, but they could give it like a little push on the ground with the bottom of their foot. Because these pieces of leather, they're not prosthetics. He's not walking with them all the time. Sometimes he needs an extra little power to move this wheelchair, so he moves it with his feet, but usually his feet are just dangling. So these kilo prosthetics, Yena prosthetics, might fall off, and he'll just put it in his pocket or put it on his lap and take it home. That if he had these pieces of wood that were attached to his hand, that he would be able to bang on the floor. Otherwise, he'd rip his hands apart. So those pieces of wood, that's part of him. They're like his shoes, they're like his gloves, they're like his shirt, because that his whole goof, he's never going to take it off because he can't move an inch with, and he has to move it with his hands. So that he's allowed to have on. A person that can't walk without his walking stick, doesn't have to be tied to him. He's holding it in his hand. If he could walk without a makel, it helps him a little bit. He has the stick in order to help him walk a little better. Also lots of Shabbos. An old man in his house, he would walk without a walking stick. When he goes out, he's scared, so he takes a walking stick. Even if he's an old man and he's scared and his whole goof is shaking, because he's walking in his house without a makel, that means that even when he is walking with a makel, it's not soymech kol koyar gufay on the makel. The Alter Rebbe, as you'll see soon in the Kutz Achra, makes a very big deal. These words, sheismach lo kol gufay, is Rashi, but Shulchan Aruch no makes such a big deal. Rashi, the Alter Rebbe thinks that this is really the Haggadah. Sheismach lo kol gufay. That if your whole body is on these prosthetics, the weight of your entire body is on this walker, on this walking stick, then it's like your shoe. It's part of you. But this old man that in his house could walk without a walking stick, so the walking stick is like carrying something. But prosthetics, I don't care that it doesn't have a sheminal. Everyone could see it's a piece of wood, clank, 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 or a piece of metal. So it doesn't have a din of a minel, but who cares? Because kol gufa is soymech in it, it's mutter to go out b'Shabbos with it. But if kol gufa, so what's the bechin? How do I know if kol gufa is soymech or not? If he walks at home without a stick, that means that he didn't come to the level that all of his body's weight is on this stick. It has to be that entire body weight is on this stick. That's the way the Alter Rebbe holds. Based on Rashi, that has to be the entire body weight is on the stick.
Wait a minute. What is regardless of whether or not the whole body weight is on the stick, and he can't walk without it. So that's the
I hear, but the Alter Rebbe brings this is Rashi's lotion. He holds if not, it's also. I mean, that's the Shulchan Aruch says that. But I'm saying that what's the Hagdor? The Alter Rebbe is saying the Hagdor. Chen choyle shamach mecholyer. Im efshel leila k'tzaz b'lo makel. Also lots of them. La muter. Chen summa lo yetsa b'makel she'efshel leila k'tzalosay. And in it lali asher al takem b'siyoysa. And tzarech lem ashuvim. Shenoigim leila b'makel choshev shebiyodim shesurim l'asabay b'shabbos. Afilu b'yom tev asurim l'asabay. That in the olden days, choshev people would have a walking stick.
They didn't really need it. It was just
It was for showing Shabbos. So I was in a store buying candelabra. I was buying something. I was buying a menorah many years ago, and they had beautiful walking sticks. I said, "Mazev al mazeh." He said, "When you'll become a rebbe, you'll come to me." So Samola was the style to walk with a stick.
What should I have been at mountain?
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is that the Yom Tov is like a pella. Why would the Yom Tov be also? Because the Chazal made a few things also the Yom Tov because it looks like Uvdin the Choil. It looks like a person is going on a far trip. We'll talk about it in a few minutes because it's negated to the other shaila I want to talk about. But first, I want to jump into the Kuntas Achim quickly. 2 Kuntas Achim and try to read it as fast as we could. Huh? No, not allowed to. So let him have a friend. Let him hold on to a friend because that's not because he's not Saimachel of Kol Koyach Gufoy. It's also let him stay at home. No, but this thing that it's a sort of a Yom Tov is only for the Cheshuvim. That's only for the Cheshuvim. L'chayda, you're right. He's a tzorech as long as it's a tzorech. And he's not walking, it's a different stick. It's not like Nika, he's going on a long road. So it's going like this, moves it around. It probably goes just on that. The Taz says, and the Mishnah brings him also, that if a person is walking on ice, that it's a Shabbos, and the place is icy. So there's a lot of walk with a stick.
It's a danger.
Yeah, that's what the Taz says. Danger is not the thing, so stay home. Don't go to shul.
I was a stick
I
helping.
went to a minute.
I was a stick helping him on ice.
Oh, yeah. You see how people, they're like people that do
Skiing.
Yeah, cross country skiing. They go with 2 sticks. So the Kuntzachim says Ein Taz. Tzorich Yun, the Bagos Maimonius Mevor Behedye, the Haf Im Mesyore Ben Yippa also. If you look in Agos Maimonius, which is, considered very choshev, everything is from Rabbi Rottenberg. It's clear that even if he's very scared that he's going to fall, it's also maybe a makel shel skenim. And he says that the makel shel skenim is also if they don't use it at all. Also, Peter Shirashi they ain't called gufa nismakalov. Rashi says the reason a makel shel skenim is also because the weight of his body is not on it. Why is walking on ice? So the first answer is, yeah, but it's not called. He's scared that he'll fall, so he has the support of the 2 sticks or 1 stick, but it's not called gufei saimachan. Inam yesh lamed enis machalov b'chol alichosi elebeishim is yorelipo. Alter says it's clear from the Gosmani that you're not allowed to walk with a stick on ice. So why? I think it's one of the 2 reasons. One of the 2 reasons. Fizeh shloimar tazmai is machalov b'chol alichosi. The entire lich is Simon. I feel hochit tzarichin la'atik she'en lo kol gufanis machalov. But still, it's a tzarichin to rely on the Taz. If a little bit in all of the day, Sharia Rosh, os the osar bezok and anisha menis machal makle machal shtisus koich hamash benayna b'chol alichosik. Shleihiske klal panyipol. It's Mashur the Rosh said that a zokin is not allowed to unless he always uses it. It's different. The Alter doesn't like the Taz so much.
Rabbi, even no Zaken, it's very hard to work in your house. With their eyes.
Let him stay home.
What?
So let him stay home.
I don't think.
Why it's not like in LA?
Huh?
Never gonna put down the sticks, walking away, so.
That's the two. That's the Yeshlan. But still, there's two ways of learning it. Why did the Rishonim say that a zoken that walks in his house without a stick, that's a Dalton of his cleric?
Right.
Why is it? So we could say not like Rashi. Could say that because he might forget, he'll put down it because he's now it's going. This block is a good block, and he'll take the stick, pick it up, and throw it in the air. So that's one issue that could be. The other issue is, which is Rashi, which is no, that in order for this to be a chelik of you and not considered a masa, has to be that kol koyach gufa is leaning on it, and the bechina of kol koyach gufa is leaning on it is that he's always using it. By the way, it's kamat today. It's kamat. Kamat it'd be almost for sure that it's also to walk with a stick. I'll explain why. Today, a person who never can't carry their weight, they have something much better than a stick. That's called a walker. And it goes on three sides of the person. Today, they have fancy walkers that also have that in the front side of the walker, there is a thing that you could put down as a sit. They could sit on it. So if they're walking and all of a sudden they feel mamash atishus koyach, they put down the seat and they sit down. So someone who mamash can't carry their body's weight, they're not walking with a walking stick. They're walking with a walker. Today, the people that are walking with a stick is a person that's misiori pen yipur. In the olden days, they didn't have a walker.
If it's a snowfall and there's 3 or 4 inches of snow, you can't really push your walker.
Okay, so that person should probably stay home. From pikuach nefesh, they should probably not go to shul.
Whether he's the 10th person they leave,
Let them not have a minion. Okay.
Walker's okay.
Yeah, I'm saying today it's very hard to say that it's mutter to go out with a stick because if the person takas kol needs to lean on something, they're probably walking with a walker, not with this walking stick.
Unless it's crutches.
Unless it's crutches talking. I'm talking about a zoket. Unless it's crutches. Okay, unless it's crutches. There's an Isser on Yom to walk.
Ever say actually, if it's like a beautiful one,
No,
you're not wearing it.
no. It's interesting. It's a very funny Gemara about Yom Tov, that it's Zilusa. But look at the next Kutas Achinen. Mashkosov Amogan Ram Lesa Beish de Alma B'Mav Amurim Mishum Zilusa the Shabbos. Mashkosov is Simon Kuf Chav Beis. There is, the Gemara says there's a Lusa the Yom Tov. So Rashi, so the Meforshim hold it's Lusa the Yom Tov, the Shabbos. I mean, it's not covered to Shabbos or to Yom Tov. That person's walking around with a stick, unless he needs it to walk. So
If he has fences.
so the shaila is that was his question, but the shaila is what's if there's an Eitiv? So on the one hand, but the whole city, all Yerushalayim has an Eitiv, but the Shkoyach. The other hand said, look. The Gemara said that B'Yom Tov B'Rishus Rabim, we said a person's not allowed to walk with a walking stick. But if you made a native, it doesn't have the din of Rishus Rabim. There's two ways of looking at it. So it's a machloikis. It's not muktzah.
It's there.
Chazal said there's a special. It's a Gemara daf Chafei in Beitza that it's zilusa the Yom Tov to walk out with a stick on Yom Tov. There's a few ways of learning. One is that it looks like the person's going on a long trip. It's sort of like uvdin dechoy, like it probably goes under the bracket of uvdin dechoy. So it's like a funny. And then the other thing that the Gemara says is there's a katadra, an apirion, which is a fancy chair. In the olden days of the chosh of a person is a fancy chair that 4 people would hold. It would be like this fancy. They have today museums. They have these things around. Yeah, they have fancy chair. And very fancy, like a platform, and there's handles on the side, and 4 people are holding it, and the person is sitting on the chair. Yeah,
Obviously, only rich picks in that.
yeah. So the Gemara said that it's also to do on Yom Tov. It's a listen to Yom Tov, unless it's a Talmud. The Gemara says that Rabbi did it because they needed to bring in the base medrash. It was hard for him to walk, so they said Rabbim Slichim lo, you're allowed to do it. So. we're going into this because this will be relevant also to the next child we'll talk about. The bottom line is that the Alter Rebbe holds lakula. So therefore, I want to summarize. An old person that's walking at home with a walking stick or a walker obviously is allowed to, or they're walking at home with crutches, they're allowed to go to shul and Shabbos with crutches. But just because the daughter is worried that her mommy might slip and fall, that doesn't make it mutter to walk with a walking stick. You're not allowed to carry a shusarabim because your daughter is worried that you're going to fall. You don't have to come to shul. If not, it's a woman, even if it's a man, so let him stay home and daven at home. But if that's, and I'm not getting involved now with the flat bashative as a native, I have no idea how it goes and what it goes. I don't use it, but I'm not being moitzi last. If this is a person that they know that there's this choshev rabbanim, there's a very very choshev rabbanim who are talmidei chachamim, know what they're doing. If this person is going by the Eidiv, then they could carry the stick. Agam that the Magen Avraham holds that there's exeda against it, but the Alter Rebbe is mekel, and there goes a whole lot of the why. But so the bottom line is to if they hold by the Eidiv, they can use the stick. But if they don't hold by the Eidiv, they cannot use the stick. Someone called me, a cousin. He's a shliach in Nantucket. He's a shliach in Cape Cod. The son now, Aperovich. And you know the Aperoviches? Oh, very nice. Huh? It's his second cousin. So he moved out to Nantucket. The son, Aperovich. So his son moved out to Nantucket. So his first shiloh was about making a native. It's an island. Maybe it's easy. Maybe it's hard. There's no bridges. You could be down about this. So now his other question was, people get there by boat. So it's not the same like Manhattan where there's bridges going into it. So that's a diyum shalatzmai. His question was, naniach there would be a native around Nantucket. They figured it all out. So now someone asked them, a lot of people around Nantucket like to go with a bicycle. With a bicycle. So someone said, Nanir, there was an Eidiv. If we could figure out the Eidiv, I'm allowed to start coming to shul with the bicycle. So and I said it's a very good question. I said it's a very good question. It's a very, very good question. There's a famous tshuva from the Ben Ish Chai, and he's makel with a bicycle.
Makel?
He was makel about a bicycle. It's a long tshuva. No, it sounds like. Look in the back of the booklet. I made a copy today. I just made a direct copy of it. So, like, sometimes it's good to see oasis from the original. Shaila nishalti meis hayokar amaskel sir meir tzlach mir Bombay. By the way, this is not the first tshuva we did from the Ben Ish Chai from a shaila from Bombay.
You know why? A lot of Iraqi Jews went to India with business, got married there, they had kids.
Yeah. My uncle that was here 2 years ago for Bnei Chayil, he said his family, they were from Iraq. Then they moved to Mumbai. Then they moved to not Bangladesh, Myanmar. And from Myanmar, Burma. They moved to Burma. But they were Iraqi, all Iraqi Kihila. And then from there, whatever, they moved to Australia. But there was, so they were kofuf. They didn't have that many Talmidei Chacham. They had the Rabbanim, but they didn't have Gedolei Olam. So they were questions they would ask to the Ben Ish Chai. Nimtza korin gadi shekavua bo shnei galgalim ve'ena moishchem oiza behemes v'lei b'nei adam. Wow. Elohu mahalach me'elov ayidei adam ayoshev boi shedoiches hagalgalim beraglav. V'ratzinu l'das emuter lirkev v'zeh agadi b'Shabbos v'Yom Tov oiloi yoreinu amoyde v'schorei koful min hashamayim.
Explaining what a bicycle is.
He's explaining what a bicycle is. It's pretty good. A bicycle. In India, they called it a gari. So the interesting thing is that the bottom line is, he thinks it's mutter. First, he has like a big kula, maybe even a Rosh Hashanah. Why? because we see that Chazal will make that you're allowed to take the apirion or the katadra, the fancy chair with the stage, that you're allowed to, if people need him to say the drosha in the base medrash, you're allowed to, even though Chazal made Xeda, they said that you're allowed to take out this person. So maybe he said a whole on this that this bicycle so is only asur miderabona because achai no he says atzmai. So therefore maybe it should be mutter. But then he says no, that you can't compare the two gzeidas derabona. The gzeida of zilusa the Shabbos and zilusa the Yom Tov, they said that if Rabbi Tzrichim lo, it's not a problem. But to say it's a wholesale thing, because Rabbi Tzrichim lo, he could break.
It's subjective. It depends on the person riding it.
So, but the thing is, he says if there's an Eidim, so he says I don't see that there should be zilusa the Shabbos and zilusa the Yom Tov. He said the big principle. He says we don't make our own gezeidas. Like you say, if Ravina and Rav Ashi would have been around, they definitely would say, that my kids are laughing. They were watching something. The video. If the Vilna Gaon was around, would he eat sushi? So you can't say if the Vilna Gaon was around, he would have asked the sushi. Well, the Vilna Gaon is not here, and he never said that the sushi is also to eat. If you think, whatever you think, but Lapel.
Because what? Say that again.
He says that you might fix the chain. You might fix the chain.
It's like, like
an
wallet in your pocket.
The same problem with the instrument.
It's a little bit. I hear all these svaras. They're not the most convincing, but I'll tell you what. The most thing is from the Orletzin, the Rabbi Avashol, who says a very nice svara. Also, the Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky felt that it's Uvdin the Choil. You know, all Agdor of Uvdin the Choil. Uvdin the Choil is like, it's like a bicycle. You can go a distance. I mean, not a distance like an airplane or a car or a motorcycle, but you could go a distance. So in Shabbos, it's like, oh, wow. It's like, Shabbos, everything is like, all of a sudden, you do that's Uvdin the Choil, something that doing like max production.
Now, you shouldn't play, you go say you could play ball on Shabbos if you have an error.
That's a separate chant. Okay, it could be also of the Necha. Yeah, but it's not mamish this long when we have Kamenetsky. But I think the best thing is the word of the Orletzin. Orletzin he's very straight. I think what he's saying is very, very straight. He says, Mikir Adina imakum lahata rechiv al afnaim regilas b'sham. Shrei noisem zashum isu. Gzeres chadosha shali gozer chazal leilon aligzer. Very nice. וכן היתר לרכיב על אופניים בשו"ת רב העולם. מקום כל המייס אין לרכיב על אופניים בשבש, שכבר נהגו שלא לרכב עליהם. כן כוסף כף החיים, בסימן, כף חיים also from Iraq, right? אויס חס, שהמינק שלא לרכב בהם לא בשבש ולא ביום טוב. ולכן הווה כדבורים, המוטורים והחיירים נהגו בהם, מיסה שאין עתרה I think this is the most glattis for him. If Kollel Yisrael is noyeg isur, if you ask any average person, a Jew, no, who doesn't ride a bike at Shabbos? You don't see a Yid driving a bike at Shabbos. So therefore,
it's not so much. Some do and some don't.
Florida, they have speakers.
Yeah. Okay, so interesting. I hear, and you say you can't say dvorim shachir nogam b'misur because Lapoil, a lot of guys are going to shul with it, huh? Okay, interesting. And then he says, a tricycle. Little children are going on. Like he says, it's mutter. Obviously, his kid is under bar mitzvah probably. I guess he's saying like you want to be mechanech a kid to do the right thing. So if you let your little bocher, even if he's 7, 8 years old, to ride a bike in Shabbos, so it's the wrong chinuch. Shaking a tricycle, and a bicycle is loinas chal of badodi. A bicycle is a bicycle, a tricycle is a tricycle. It's different. So this is a different one. His word is because that's not Chedim Nogel B'Yisur. No one drives it. So no, I'm little kids. So could be according to the Erlitzian, the people that want to go on. People that want to go. What did you say? They go on scooters. So people that want to go on scooters would be mutter.
So the Rishon will have
And rollerblades also. Rollerblades also. Yeah, rollerblades would be the same thing. It's I mean, actually in the same thing. The Erlitzian, he was asked about rollerblades. He thought that was mutter. It was funny to me, but I haven't seen this. I mean, if he's saying that he's looking what Yidden are doing, I haven't seen Yidden going out on Shabbos with rollerblades.
That's more for play than to get to get around.
Huh? On Shabbos? So I'm saying, why in his mind that so I'm not sure why he had it in his mind that way. But since I was already okay, so just to
What about
summarize,
skis? Since we're talking about getting around, what about if there's a bunch of snow and you want to go on skis? Yeah, no, I'm serious. You live to travel by skis. I'm not asking to Stoke.
It's called his whole goof is leaning on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
His whole
his foot is attached to it.
It's attached to it,
It's like
He can't go with the sticks. It's not the
you
two sticks.
can't get around that. It's very unwieldy without the poles. Ski.
So some big things fall in technicalities.
Yes.
So just want to summarize. So there's a few lomdison that are about the bicycle. The Poil, Menishchai thought it was mutter. And if they thought that anything you're going to tell me is like being machadash exeda matzmeinu, well, the Poil people are. But if Taka people are using scooters, then I guess it's mutter. I want to say one second. There's a yid that for what? For who? I still didn't get back to him. So there's a Meir Mezuz passed away this year. He was Rosh Yeshiva for many years. Rosh Yeshiva in Bnei Brak. He wrote many svarim. He had Lashoni Eit Sofer, unbelievable. He was very into like materials. He was a very, very special person.
He signed his big tour.
He always stayed connected to Lubavitch because when he was young, his father was the Rosh Yeshiva in the Chabad Yeshiva in Tunisia, and he was also a Maggid Shir, and he was very proud. Right before he passed away, he had an interview about Chabad, and he said that I know one of my students, Rabbi Pinson, was the Shliach, wanted to go to Lubavitch Yeshiva in Bordeaux, France, and never said, as long as your teacher is Rabbi Meir Mazuz, I want you to stay in his class. Rabbi Meir was then 17 years old.
I didn't know that.
Rabbi Meir was 17 years old. Rebbe says, as long as he's your Rebbe, I want you to stay by him. What happened was, the Rebbe asked him, what are you learning right now? And he said, I'm learning Kiddush HaChayim. The Rebbe asked him 3 questions, and he answered well all 3 questions. So later, when he wrote a note that he wants to go to Lubavitch Yeshiva, the Rebbe said, stay, anyway, he has like a very nice, I would make a copy of it, but I couldn't because okay, there's a trick. You do it to Oitza Chochem, but I whatever. Maybe next time I'll print it out for your pleasure. He has a sefer, a big fat sefer called Osaf Amaskir. It's like Aleph Beis Gimel, and just interesting things I'll say that are Aleph Beis. So he has Ofnaim, a bicycle. So he has all tiny things like Ukiril in the Shechaya Kidated the Tatu. The Gemara says, give cover to your wife till you become rich. So he says, it's a famous saying. You should know it's Gemara Baba Metzid Afnon Tes, and that's why the pasuk says, "Mimishpetz Zov Lavusha, Rosh Tevis Mazel." Okay, and then the Torah says, "Asher Sham Azov, Rosh Tevis Isha." But anyway, Ofnaim. He says, my father felt that a Talmid Chacham is not allowed to go on Ofnaim. Why? Because it says in the pasuk, "Asher loy to go out of Oslalov." So he said, but someone asked him, but it says Al Mizbechi. So, and then he brings a whole bunch of ayahs about Rabbi Yosef that went to Lachamoy, back and forth. And at the end, he says, Ulam Shamati. I'll maybe make a copy of it. You'll read it yourself. It's just cute. I just want to finish off with this video. Huh? So okay, so that's it. So back and forth. So he says, Shamati, Ulam Shamati, Sharav HaMikubel, Shmuel Dirazi, Zatzal, Derzi, Hoya Nosea Be'ofnaim Berosh Hashanah Be'bovel, to do mifzoyim with koya shofar become a botik nesius. Api das Rav Kollel shemuter lirkem b'ofnaim b'shabbos. B'shem aliskis as Arabim shine. How do you pronounce his name? Drezi. Shmuel Drezi wanted to be Masaka a lot of Yidden in the Bavel with Kia Shofar, so you have to get from place to place. So he would drive on Rosh Hashanah. Huh? Yeah. Okay.
You know his son. Huh? I know his son. No, that's the way that
Okay.
his son is in my parents' house.
Okay, fine, very good. Okay, we should be Mazaki.
Rabbi, just in India,
You get
in India they have thing, karkara it's called. Two stick here and somebody holding it and you can sit down there and the week is taking you.
right.
I saw a picture of that. I just love it. Somebody is willing you.
Oh,
Right.
like
Right.
So a lot of them is
It would be a similar shine
like a
to this.
rickshaw? Like a rickshaw?
It would be a
so they had an Elul boundary.
huh?
They had the Elul boundary.
What do you mean? It was a Rosh Hashanah, was it? It was a question of Yom Tov. It wasn't a question of Shabbat. No. Rosh Hashanah. It was one shofar.
He went to blow shofar to people.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of Chabadakim were there.
I like it. Okay, ksivach zum Toiva, Shonna Toiva Sukkot. Yeah.
So the email people were short.
786 number, yes, it's a
I
number.
don't know. It's a good question. You know, what's the Agdor of Talmud Chochem? But today it's becoming a noshim chshuvim are riding bicycle. So it's good. What you're saying is true. And it became the derech. It became the derech. I know you see it. Noshim chshuvim. You see, a noshim chshuvim are riding a bicycle. Huh? What's the difference? The question is if Anoshim Chshuvim do it. No, we're not talking about Shabbos. We're talking about if Anoshim. Yeah.
It's very good to have room. Sure.
Thank you very much for joining us.
David, how are you?
David,